School of Addiction. Bear with, I'll get me beat off. Bit rushed. Welcome to School of Addiction. My name's Ashley. I'm an addictions therapist. I'm also a regular therapist. I specialise in trauma and childhood, but I've worked with pretty much everything. I've also overcame addiction, which is why I'm online talking about addiction, because I think that is the biggest qualification I've got. And I've also studied it up until PhD level. And I've also had the heartbreaking experience of dealing with loved ones who are struggling in addiction. So a 360 view of it. So today, the topic is just keep going. One foot in front of the other. And the reason why that's my topic is because I'm so poorly. So being here is me literally just putting one foot in front of the other. And I think the top and bottom of addiction recovery or any mental health is one foot in front of the other, because sometimes we don't have any option other than just to sit back and submit, or push forward and submit, and I know which I'd rather be doing. So yeah, I'm just doing that one foot in front of the other. I'm unwell, but I'm happy to be here, guys. Hi, Warrior for Jesus. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Yes, how are you? Yeah, so literally, I think you can have all the tips and tricks in the world for addiction recovery, and you can do all the self-love in the world, like I'm always preaching, but ultimately, you've just got to put one foot in front of the other, and that literally means in whatever way you can. That means if I'm gonna doom scroll, even though I don't want to, you doom scroll. If that gets you through getting through your addiction, then do it. If it means I'm just going to go and hide from the world, do it. Honestly, we just have to get through the day sometimes. So yeah. Hi, grade 100. How are you doing? Not too bad. A bit of a hard day, but it gets better. Can't let setbacks, things get you down. 100%. 100%. It's been a hard day for me as well. I am on that wagon. It's so true though. Do you know what it is? I think though there is an element of ensuring there's not toxic positivity, because I used to just constantly tell myself that everything was okay and I was drowning, and that's not healthy either. So I think there's a healthy balance of accepting that we do have setbacks, and sometimes the setbacks, believe it or not, set us back. But on the flip side of that, just licking your wounds and then picking yourself back up and cracking back on. Hopefully you were doing better. Yeah, I've got like a cold sore on each lip. It's like, it's been getting grim over here, but I'm starting to get a little bit better, and I ain't getting beat by a common cold, that's for sure. Smoke pot, comfortably numb. Honestly, pot sends me loopy. It really sends us so paranoid and so weird. I think that's the thing. Different drugs do different things to different people, isn't it? Some people can smoke pot every day and be fine. I am not one of them people. I go so weird. Praj walk. I don't know how you say that. I'm just gonna call you walk. You look like you're in your 20s. I am 36, so I will definitely take that compliment. Hey, Rachy T, how are you doing? It's me, Rach, on my other channel. Oh, hi, Rach. How are you doing? I didn't know you had a... Why T? Why Rachy T? What's the T for? Oh, Rachy T. I've just read the full thing. God. This is the downfall of me doing YouTube and reading out comments, is I'm dyslexic, so I am so bad at these Raj names that everybody has. Hopefully you can just have a laugh at it instead of taking it personally. Right, Mark, evening, how are you? I'm all right. I've been feeling really unwell. I missed Wednesday's live, actually, which I was quite upset about, but I literally couldn't get out of bed. I didn't even take my kid to school. I kept him off because I couldn't get him dressed to get him in. And I'm quite a tough cookie, so my friend Rachy T, Rachy T, he's on, she'll know I'm quite nails when it comes to illness, but it's flawed is. But yeah, getting better. How are you? How's everyone doing? Eternally Secure Rocker. Hello, I recognise your name. How are you doing? Are you you the one who's done mental health practitioner? Work with addictions, I'm pretty sure. Hi to North Dakota from Newcastle, England. I have no idea YouTube gave you that name. Even YouTube thinks you're a tatey. My friend Rachel, so I've realised today, me and Rachel have been best friends for 20 years. We had a 7-year breakup, we'll call it, when we got back together. But we're best friends for 20 years. And I can confirm she is a tatey, the very best of. We'll argue about who's the more autistic person. And we're both riddled with tism. Hey. Can you tell me how your life in 20s is different from your 30s? In my 20s, apart from being like on planet off my nut every day, I had no confidence. So if you look at it from a neuroscience perspective, in your 20s, your frontal lobe isn't developed until mid to late 20s, like 2020, between 25 and 27. And your frontal lobe's part of is responsible for rational thinking, impulse control, long-term thinking. So it's like this weird dynamic where I think everybody's at a bit of a deficit to make rational decisions, yet for some reason in your late teens you're expected to have your whole life mapped out for yourself. So I think like most 20-year-olds, I was going out, enjoying myself, being absolutely reckless and feeling the pressure of needing to have my life together and failing miserably at this ridiculous expectation. So I think my 20s was really fun / seriously nerve-wracking. My 30s has been undoing all the shite that I clocked up in my 20s. And undoing the shame that I racked up for being an absolute knacker in my 20s. But also learning myself and just starting to decide what do I actually want to do in life and then trying to be brave enough to do it. So my 30s, I would say, has been scary but empowering. Are you in your 20s or your 30s? Hi, Edmundo, how you doing? Warrior for Jesus. What are the best steps you've taken towards sobriety and how do they help reshape your mind? Just love them, like 120% commitment to loving myself, no matter what. Whether that's changed across my journey, but it started off with asking myself questions of what can I do now to make myself feel better? Just giving myself little comforts in the moment. So very superficial stuff. Whenever paying attention to the voice in my head and realising that I am not that voice, that I am not my thoughts. So learning to be the observer of my thoughts. And then learning to be compassionate with my thoughts, but also firm. Like almost like a parent, firm but fair. And I think the more I started to love myself, aka being kind to my thoughts and reshaping my thoughts and doing kind things towards myself, the more sobriety became something that I wanted to do, which was then sustainable. I think it's whether you learn to love yourself before you get sober or you learn to love yourself after you get sober, it's super important to do if you want to maintain recovery. Because I know people who've been in recovery, like people really close to us, who've been sober, and I was like, wow, they're doing an amazing job. And it was because their life was okay for a little bit. And then as soon as the life got difficult, that was it, off the bandwagon. Whereas I love myself so much that even when life throws difficulties at us, I love myself too much to put myself back in that position. What about anybody else? What's anybody else done that's helpful for recovery? Because I feel like the best people to ask are the people who are doing it. And one of the brilliant things about this live is there's lots of people who are in recovery who come on. So let me know for anyone who's listening. Internally secure rocker. Yes, I'm the one that works with people with disabilities and mental health. I struggle myself, feel better soon. Yeah, do you know what it is? Eternally secure rocker. I would be severely lying if I was to sit here and say that I don't have struggles myself. I think that was one of the big things as well when I was a therapist. Like in the beginning, I was struggling with addiction and I felt like an absolute fraud. And it's because I had this unrealistic expectation that I had to be fully healed. And then I was like, oh, well, I'm healing myself, so I'm going to be healed. And then now I'm just realising, do you know what it is? I'm probably never going to be fully healed, but I'm always like one step closer towards that direction. So yeah, it's a bit hard when you're a mental health worker, when you're struggling, because you almost feel like you're not allowed to be. But actually, one thing I found that was helpful was just dropping the pretense and saying, okay, I'm also human. I know some stuff about some stuff, which I can help people with, but like, I'm not going to sit over here pretending I've got it all together, because I do not. And anybody who says they do is lying. Prove me wrong, I dare yous. Rachie T said, absolutely loving yourself is so important. 100%. Yeah, it's so hard to do though. Top tip for loving yourself, Rachie T. Rachie Tatey. It's who else other people are saying. Has anyone told you that you look like Chris Bumstead's wife? I don't know who Chris Bumstead is. So no. No, they haven't. I don't really get told I look like anyone, really. I used to get told I look like Amy Childs when I was a kid. Well, a teenager, but I think that's because I have bright red hair. I get told I look Russian quite a lot. Hopefully that's a compliment. If it's not, I don't know who it is, so it's went straight off. Water off a duck's back. Right, let's see what else. So somebody has said, Supernova, how young are you? I'm 37. No, I'm not. That's a lie. 36. I'm nearly 37 in March. Don't know why I'm lying tonight. And if I'm going to lie, I should be shaving years off, but yeah, we are. Just telling unnecessary lies. Oh, God. Right, let's see what else other people are saying. Are you autistic? Yes, I am. 100% autistic. Actually, I've been told I'm autistic off a few I'm lying again. Why am I lying tonight? I've been told off two psychiatrists that they definitely think I'm autistic, but I'm actually waiting to get my results next week. But I'll be very highly surprised if I'm not. I think everybody in my life would be quite surprised if I'm not autistic. Cool necklace, thank you. These were my mum's. Inspirational Ambivert, hello, nice to see you again. How are you doing? Inspirational Ambivert's got a really cool channel, by the way. It's like very, say like, if I'm talking about a self-love, if you're wanting to go on a self-love journey, this is the channel for you. So 20s, no confidence, no idea what to do, lost, higher risk taken. Yes, 100%. And I think as well, for some strange reason, society has high expectations for 20-year-olds. And it's like, what? I remember my sister, bless her, she was like, she wanted to be, oh, nice spilled me coffee. I'm having to drink coffee, guys, by the way, just so I can get through this live. So me sister, bless her, was at college, she wanted to be a vet. And then she was getting so stressed because she realised she didn't want to be a vet. And I was just like, just quit. Like, I think in that age, we're expected to know what we want to do. And all we want to do is go out and get drunk and get wrecked. For a lot of us, I just wanted to get drunk and wrecked. I had no idea what I was doing. But it's part of the fun. Q Physics, I love the Welsh accent. I've got a Geordie accent. But I'm glad you like Welsh people. Good for you. Proj Walk. Is any... Oh, I've already read that one. Right. Oh, inspirational ambivert. 30s, much better. Know yourself more. Learn to love yourself. More focus. Knowing what you want, etc. Yeah. And I think sometimes we get scared to do that. I think because I can't speak for everyone, But I certainly know for me, in my 20s, there was so much expectation on this is the person I'm supposed to be, married, kids, career. And then you get to your 30s and you realise, actually, I've kind of done some of them. I've got a kid, not in a happy relationship. I'm a single mom. Got a career, but like struggling to maintain it. Not really sure that's what I want to do, even though I've spent all my 20s studying for it, which is counselling, by the way. And I'm not a homeowner, not in a relationship. So you kind of get to this point where you're kind of hitting the mark on some things, failing at the other stuff. And it's really scary to sit there and say, right. Oh, and also loathe myself. Forgot about that bit. Can't stand myself, but great. I am myself, so great. And it's quite a hard thing to sit there and say, okay, life isn't on track, but that's okay. Even though society's expected us to be on track, and then I've met that expectation, I've failed it. It's really hard to sit there and say, okay, now I'm going to have to say that's fine. Because actually, I don't think many people in the 20s have got it all together. So I get to, now I've got a frontal lobe, a little bit more wisdom under my belt. I get to start to love myself. I get to start to find out what I want to do and be more focused. But I think it's really scary to admit that, because then you have to admit that actually your 20s have been a bit of a flop. It's nobody knows what they're doing. We've been winging it, and quite poorly, to be honest. Hello, people. Exercise is one of the few things that help me. 100% agree with that. I think that's such a good thing. If anyone's struggling with addiction, exercise is such a good thing. It just makes you feel good about yourself. You get a good, nice, healthy dose of dopamine, which we're going to be losing out on when we remove the addictive behaviour or substance. And you also get other endorphins. It's great. And it's good for your health. So yeah, I 100% think exercise is key. But even if not exercise, because I know a few people might be having mobility issues, or maybe they've got fibromyalgia, or maybe you're just like me, where it's actually, I do exercise, but it's hard to get to the gym because I'm a single mom and have loads of responsibilities. So if you can't do exercise, there's something called NEAT movement. I can't remember what's an acronym for. I think it's quite a large acronym, actually. I think that's why I can't remember it. But it just basically means movement. So I basically got rid of my car and I walk everywhere, and I find that's super helpful. Or I get the bus and you've got to walk from bus stops. I make sure I dance, so I always put my music on. I've got me Alexa, goes off at 5 o'clock every day and plays music. I just use that as like an inspiration to have a little dance around my kitchen. Rachie T, healthy eating helps me. Yeah, right, this is the thing. So, as Shez Cotton and Rachie T has said, if you're struggling with addiction, 3 things that you can do other than loving yourself, because I think that's really important, and leaning into services or support networks, friends or whatever. 3 things that are in your control, which you can take little steps toward, which will add up, is food, diet and sleep. And with any mental health, that is something that is so in your control that you can literally start doing today. You don't need to do anything other than make one healthy change with food and just keep going on that path. Try and do a little bit of exercise, even if it's 5-minute dancing, even if it's just walking somewhere that normally you would get the bus or whatever. So in sleeping, just trying to go to bed 15, if you struggle with sleep, just try and go to sleep 15 minutes earlier. Just these little things and you will notice a difference. Right, Nicola. Addiction is basically about self-hate. Learning how to love yourself when you achieve sobriety is a great step toward recovery. 100%. It is, and I think the addiction medicates the fact that you hate yourself. And I think a really good way to tell how much you love yourself is to take a look at your environment. If your environment is full of lush people who support you, who have your back, who do not take the piss out of you, if you are doing stuff that makes you happy and you have hobbies and interests, then that is reflecting back to you that you love yourself. If you look at your environment and you've got a bunch of dickheads who disrespect you on the daily, who will happily throw you under a bus if it means they get to feel good about themselves, but if the tables are turned, there's no two-way street. If you despise your job, you don't have any hobbies or interests, then the chances are you do not love yourself. Because if you loved yourself, you would be, one, putting in boundaries with people, or just saying, you're actually not helpful, you need to go. You would be doing things that light you up and bring you joy. So if you are struggling to know if you love yourself or not, look at your environment. Once you've taken stock of your environment, then what you can do is something in counselling called a miracle question, where you can say, if I was going to wave a magic wand and wake up tomorrow and love myself, what would my environment look like? And then that is your North Star. And then what you do is you think, okay, what one little step can I do today to get me towards that North Star of loving myself? But yeah, 100% agree with Nicola. It is basically learning how to love yourself, because addiction, it is, I think it's a way of dealing with self-hate or trauma and the shame from trauma and hating being in your own body because of trauma. Rachel Tatey, always been aware of what you're putting in your body. Yeah, definitely easier said than done. But yeah, 100%. But we can certainly be mindful. We don't need to be perfect, guys. Like, let's be real. I'm drinking coffee at 9:30 at night to get through a live. Like, we don't need to be perfect, but just aware and mindful. Picking your poisons always good, instead of just unconsciously taking all poisons. Oh, Warrior for Jesus, Ches Cotton dude, absolutely. I picked up boxing again and it's helping so much. Yeah, I do jiu-jitsu, I love it. Although I sprained my toe the other week and I've not been doing it for a couple of weeks and I genuinely miss it. Ches Cotton, exercise, diet and prayer or meditation, 100%. Yeah, there's studies, I've said this before, so sorry for repeating myself, guys, but there's a lot of research which shows that the same reward pathways in your brain light up when we do prayer or meditation as what does when we do addiction. So you could switch it up. It's just, meditation sounds quite dull, but what really helped me with meditation and mindfulness is looking into the neuroscience behind it, and it will blow your mind, guys. Assuming you don't already know it. Do you know what, another thing, if you don't like the idea of prayer, gratitude, just sitting there and thinking, what am I grateful for in my life? Because our brain chooses what to focus on. Have you heard that study about the yellow car? And it's like, or maybe it's just a theory, I don't know if it's even a study. Anyways, there's a theory in psychology about the yellow car. So if you buy a yellow car, you're more likely to start noticing yellow cars. It's not that there's more yellow cars on the road. It's just your mind is now geared towards yellow cars. So there's a lot of research which shows that if you focus on what you're grateful for, your brain's more likely to latch on to the things that it's grateful for. If you focus on what's negative, you're going to naturally focus on that and look for things which are negative. And it's because our brains are constantly taking in information, and what you focus on consciously is what it'll unconsciously keep, because it sieves out, I can't remember the percentage, but like a huge percentage of the data it's processing, it just sieves out. So if you focus on gratitude or prayer, then you're more likely to notice the positive things in your life. Right, I'm going to scroll to the bottom. Oh, do you know what? I love this person. Clorox comes on and says junkie loads, but do you know what it is? I really appreciate what you're doing, because I know it's quite negative, but actually you're just driving us up the algorithm, which means you're pushing us towards the people that need us. So thank you. See? And even negative things can be positive. Silver lining, guys. Oh, God. Right, let's see. I'm just going to scroll down and just pick from random, because I'm trying to give everyone a fair chance. Rachel, top fan. I know Clorox is top fan. I know, thank you. I really don't mind though, to be honest with you, because I feel like it's when somebody's trolling, it really does put a big question. Like from a psychology perspective, it kind of puts up a little bit of a mirror at the person of like, why are you doing this? Because that seems like a you thing. But yeah. Right. Let's see what anybody else is saying. Brilliant channel. Clearly it is very much needed. Thank you. Oh, Duncan the English gent, I've seen you here a few times. Thanks for coming back. Robert Stubbins, I have just reached out for help for the first time. Robert, that's amazing. How do you feel, Robert? I remember being petrified about reaching out for support. People always ask us, what was it that helped me get sober? For those who don't know, I had a very bad addiction to ketamine. And everyone always asks us, what was it that helped us get sober? And I think it's a number of different things. I think first and foremost, learning to love myself. But one of the things on the list was reaching out for support. I think sometimes, a lot of the time, and not all the time, I know everyone's recovery journey is different, but a lot of the time what a lot of us can do is say that we want to stop and then try and do it in silence because we're scared to say it to people like, I've got an addiction, because we're scared of the judgment and the shame, or we're scared of what people are going to think. But actually, it's one of the single most bravest things you can do, and it's been very, very helpful. I don't think I could have got sober without doing that. So hats off to you, Robert, because I remember how tough that was. But yeah, I hope it's gone well for you. And if you're wanting, Robert, I'm doing a free addiction support group. Anybody who's in active addiction or just struggling in early recovery, anyone's welcome to join. Obviously it's first come, first serve. But you're welcome to join if you want, Robert. If you do, and anyone does, just comment support group on any of my content, like any of my past lives, and I always get notifications and reply. Also, if I'm not answering your question, if you're lost between the junkie comments or don't have the time, also feel free just to ask us a comment, the same comment on any of my content, because I get a notification. I try my best to answer them all. Travis, I know stuff. Let everyone know. I'm always really interested to hear what other people's tips and tricks are, because as an addictions therapist, I'm only ever dealing with people who are in active addiction. And it's really interesting to hear what has helped people who are in recovery, because this channel brings a mix of people in addiction and in recovery. And then some badge people who just want to write junkie for hours upon end. Each to their own though, but all living their own little lives. Who am I to judge? For God's sake. What's your view on mixing acid with weed? Oh my God. So each to their own. Me personally, weed just sends me loopy-loo. It's never, so one of my addictions was being just addicted to being off me nut. So in my 20s, I was just constantly wrecked on something, and I've got to say, I've smoked a lot of weed in my life, but I've never really enjoyed it. It sends us so paranoid. I can see why people struggle with paranoia off it, people who like, and why it brings out underlying schizophrenia for some people. So for me personally, definitely wouldn't catch us mixing weed with acid. But each to their own. 0-0, look up Gabo Mate, very valuable insight on trauma and addiction. Oh, he is my idol. I love him. Yes, everybody look up Gabo Mate, he's amazing. So I'm currently writing a book. I'm just in the editing phase, and it's taken a lot of what Gabo Mate talks about and building on it. He's an amazing person. 100% agree with everything that he said. Also, anyone who's got ADHD, he wrote a really good book called Scattered Minds. Eternally secure vodka. Yamu, yes, Ashley says she does have trouble reading because she's dyslexic. Yeah, I do. And these, look, I'm quite good at reading now because I've studied for so many years. So like, after reading books and journals galore, I have got much better at reading and spelling because dyslexia is a lot to do with thought processing. But like YouTube, how can we just have normal names? Like, what is this? I was going to say zonal, but it actually says zeronal. Clorox, like what the hell is Clorox? That is not a name. Like, help us out, guys. Oh, God. Gotta laugh. Right, I'm just going to scroll about and see what people are saying. Geniuses have dyslexia. Travis, I will take that. I will take that. Do you know what it is though? My friends, Rachy Tatey, who's on here, they all say to me, "You are the smartest, thickest person I know." And honestly, they're not. My friends are lush, like we all grief each other, but I really am. I'm so smart in some areas, and then I am so thick in other areas. Like I don't know how. I think my brain's like. My brain's max capacity on the things I'm interested in. Everything else, like, oh my God, get me a carer, please. Yeah, Clorox, you are loved. Come on. You say, Duncan is saying, if you need support, please seek out help. I mean, look, if this is bringing you joy, go for it. I don't mind. But there's like a lot of lush people on this live. Like, junkies, a lot of it have been through the mill and we're actually a canny bunch. I mean, look, Duncan's even been nice to you when you're like been an absolute nuisance on my channel. Try and get involved. You might make some nice connections. You might have fun. But if you want to say drunky loads, that's fine as well. Oh, God, right. Einstein couldn't tie his shoes. I did not know that. I saw the most... Oh my God, I mean, I get very emotional if I'm unwell due on lots of reasons, to be honest. I'm probably just quite an emotional person, but certainly more emotional at certain times. And I saw this thing and it was saying that Einstein, I don't know how true this is, but Einstein's was basically told he wasn't allowed to go to school because he was disabled. So his mum said that he was so special that she had to homeschool him. And then he ended up becoming a genius. I also saw something about Einstein, though, where actually his wife did a lot of the work. And there's this woman who goes around trying to disprove, or not disprove, but advocate for his wife. So basically, he came up with the idea, like M equals C squared, and she did all the math behind it. And he took credit and apparently was quite abusive towards her and told her to shut up about it. So, you know, patriarchy. Woo. Anyways, William. Oh, okay, haha. I thought your profile picture, you were holding a guitar. I think yous are talking amongst yourselves. I don't know what's going on. I am not picking up what yous are putting down. I'm glad yous are talking to each other, though. Psychedelic, how are you? So Einstein invented something. What did he invent? I thought he was a philosopher. I thought he came up with the idea of like... I thought he invented, actually, was he not the person who came up with the idea for computers and AI? Like, I don't actually know what it is. Yeah. I know he definitely M equals M squared. And I know relativity, law of relativity. I don't know. Clearly, it's not part of my special interest. Mark, Marek, hi Ashley, stay focused. They want to distract you. The lust is a worse thing. When we are weak, the inner and outer demons are attacking us to fall down again, but we'll have to go forward. Yeah, I mean, I am a little bit distracted today. But to be honest with you, I've just been a bit unwell, so it's quite nice to just chat about rubbish. But please do ask us questions. I will answer questions about mental health and addiction. We'll get focused. Thanks for keeping us on track, Merrick. I think I was just calling you Marcus. Right, let's see, what else? Fire Star-Lord, I'm really confused. Seriously don't remember women being so beautiful. The consciousness raising has made it more intense. Thank you. I think, honestly, the more I've loved myself, I don't know if this is because I'm looking at myself with, like, through nice lenses, but I do genuinely believe the more I focus on being happy, the better looking I get. But that just might be because I'm being kinder to myself. I don't know. But I do think you can tell people, like, people who are happy have this little sparkle about them. Like, my two best friends are stunning and they're just constantly happy. Maybe it's because I'm just looking at people through the lenses of love, though. Because me and my friends are saying today we either look $1 million or 50 pence. And they never look at 50 pence to us, but I don't know what I'm even talking about here, honestly. I'm going a bit delirious tonight, guys. You still have to bear with. Right. I'm just going to... Can somebody ask us a serious question? Because I'm just uttering utter garbage at this point. I don't know why people are still online. Right, okay. Yeah, Rachel Tatey saying I was definitely 50 pence today. Yeah, we've all been there. Fortico, thank you. A normal question. Get us back on track. What would your top books recommendation? Depends what it's for. I think if you want motivation and you're wanting to know how to get from A to B, and I'd say it is particularly helpful with addiction, I would say is Atomic Habits. It's brilliant. If you're dealing with trauma, Body Keeps the Score. Harry Potter, I would say, just because J.K. Rowling is brilliant. And Peeves isn't in the films. I'm trying to think. Oh, Drive Your Own Darn Bus by someone called Julia Christina. And she's a psychologist, and it actually has activities in it. So when I'm told, I keep saying, like, learn to love yourself. This is a great book because it has actual things that you can do to help you love yourself. So yeah, Julia Christina, Drive Your Own Darn Bus. She's amazing. Inspirational ambivert. I'm not in the best headspace at the moment. I have the knowledge, experience, etc. But some days you just got to get through the day. 100%. That's literally how I started this live. I am getting through the day to day. I think sometimes, though, in the days where you're struggling, especially like bringing it back to addiction, because that's why we're here, and mental health, is when we're struggling and we've got to just get through the day. I think those days are equally as valuable as the days where we're smashing life, because if you just stop to reflect upon the fact that you've just got through that day, you've got a real opportunity just to reflect on just how resilient and badass you are. Even if you're getting through a day where you're struggling in addiction, and let's be real, let's talk about suicide. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but the fact that you've still, even though you feel like shit, still got through that day is a win. And the fact that you have gone through a difficult day and got through the day is a win. You know, there is a suicide epidemic going on, and every day that you're just kind to yourself and say, I made it through that day, that's a win. Like, the fact that you're able to be kind to yourself and the fact that you're able to get through the day is a win. And I think instead of just getting through it, it's so helpful just to sit there and say, do you know what it is? I actually survived that day. It was difficult, but I still put one foot in front of the other and I survived it. And sit there and praise yourself for any little win that you had in that day. Because honestly, there's been days where I've sat there and I haven't even been able to brush my teeth. I haven't been able to eat any food. And the fact that I just kept on going, feeling that shit about myself, I think is mass testament to the resilient, amazing person that I am. So yeah, I think, yeah, those are the hardest days, and that's when you need to big yourself up the most. You're Voldemort. I'm not Voldemort. Who do I see myself as more so? I'd definitely put myself as a Gryffindor. I'm a bit brave. I'm courageous. Voldemort, though? I mean, come on. I would not be Slytherin. I haven't got a bad bone in my body. So, right. Duncan. Albert Einstein's greatest error was that he thought he made a mistake. He came up with an equation that looked at explaining the expansion of the universe. Years later, that add it back in. Add it back in? Oh, he added it back in, do you mean? So, yeah, so he questioned himself. Yeah, oh God, we do that all the time, don't we? It's very hard to do something different to what other people are doing and fully have faith in yourself. Right. I mean, I'm just like, yeah, I saw it in the same bracket as Einstein. I'm picking up what you were putting down at Albert. Just talking utter rubbish here. You've got to laugh. Right, the Fire Star Lord saying something interesting. Let's see what you said. Where are you? An open transmission. So this isn't just me. I'm in front of a big class, but I'm doing this because people are going toned. Be aware. What? And children are going to have more memory recall, and they'll be like me, ready to get busy with the babysitter at 4 years old. Okay, I just noticed the title was School of Addiction. You're going to not like what I have to say. I apologise for my projection. However, do not quit anything. Is that it? Science says you can't make something disappear, right? Therefore, when you try to quit something, you're actually getting rid of the part of your soul that you don't want. You unloved it. Sorry, my reading is horrendous. I wish I could read a little bit. Just bear with, guys. Right, you're getting rid of the part of your soul that you don't want. You unloved it. Elderly makes all these timelines out of rejected pieces of ourselves. That's what brings the demons. My advice is don't quit anything, just do something else. If somebody is addicted to something, I would ask them, yeah, but is it really more fun than sitting on my face? What? I don't know if this has got rude or I'm just not reading it right. So I think what Fire Star Lord is trying to say, I don't know at this point. I don't even know if you guys know what he's trying to say because my reading's appalling. But there is something in what he's saying about the more we berate ourselves that we need to stop something, the more overwhelming it feels. So first of all, it's just about not being so hard on yourself and knowing that when the time's right, I'm going to do it. And in the meantime, I'm just going to pour love into myself. So when it comes up, you've got the grit and determination. And then it's about maintaining it. So it's not about forcing yourself to stop. It's about getting yourself into a position where you can stop so that when you do stop, you've got the grit and determination you're going to need to carry yourself over the finish line. The other thing is, my lights went out, around what Star-Lord's comment made us think about, which has now escaped my mind because my light went off. There was something else you said. What were you talking about? Trying to stop. Oh yeah, so if you think about the addiction as serving a purpose, it's a solution, not a very good one, not a very practical one, but it is a solution to a problem going on underneath. So what we can do is think about what is the problem, and by looking at the problem, we can come up with an alternative solution. So if you were getting wrecked or whatever because you're bored shitless, then try and find something that you enjoy so you're not bored shitless. Psychedelic, by the way, so nice to see you. How you doing? That light's just off. You're just gonna have to deal with us in the dark. How you doing? How's your dates been going? Psychedelic says, it helps me to be here and don't smoke weed. Don't have questions. I've got enough knowledge about addiction. Yeah, I think just sometimes just showing up and being around people who are also in the same boat can be really helpful. In psychedelic, you do have a lot of knowledge around addiction. And I was going to ask you last week, but this is the first time I've seen you this week, if you wanted to be a moderator. Obviously, feel free to say no. But I just thought you seem to be, you do seem very knowledgeable, and I've noticed we seem to be on the same wavelength. So if you'd like that, let us know. Saeed said, hello, where are you from? I'm from Newcastle, England, north of England. Right, let's see what anybody else is saying. Marek. Okay, about addiction. This is mental thing. I think we have to focus to overcome it. Like, I'm doing sports, reading books, watching useful podcasts. It's all difficult because when we are, I don't know if there's more to that, but yeah, what Marek has said is 100% true. You need to redirect your focus. I met somebody who goes around and he does lectures in universities about addiction. And he said one of the things that he always says to people is, if you think about addiction being like bricks in a wall and it fills up a lot of your time, and if you're going to quit addiction, you're all of a sudden going to take all these bricks out of the wall. And he said, what is likely to happen is it's just going to collapse. And then you're going to put the addiction back in to rebuild the wall. And he said, what you need to do is think about, what am I going to replace these bricks with? And that is amazing what Marek has said. Exercise is brilliant, makes you produce dopamine. Sports, if you can do sports, you're not only are you producing dopamine and getting endorphins the same way as you will with addiction, but you're also often in connection with people. Like even jiu-jitsu, when you're braying someone, you're also like helping each other how to bray each other. And it's like, honestly, it's mint. You're building connections with people through literally braying each other, let alone on a team sport. So it's so good for you because we need connection. It's so vital. Reading books, brilliant. You're learning something. One of the brilliant things for changing neuroplasticity, which we need to do, we need to rewire our brains away from addiction, is if you can learn something. It just helps you fire and wire much faster. So podcasts, books, all this stuff. And you also, when you're learning things and doing sports, you feel like you're winning at life. You feel like you're achieving. And when you're stuck in addiction, you feel like you're failing. So switch up that feeling like you're failing with things where you feel like you're winning. Let them be bricks of winning at life, whatever that looks like for you. Jake. Hello, Jake. I am 37. No, I've been lying all night. I'm 36. For some reason, I've been telling everyone I'm 37 tonight. I'm not. Why am I always crooked? What does crooked mean? Give us a bit of definition and I will let you know. But I honestly don't know. Ooh, Vincent, if I had a superpower, what would it be? Oh, I don't know. Be like a mega healer, just going around like healing people so we could all just be happy. Do you know what I mean? Just like have a bit of joy, have a bit of healing. What else would I do? What would I have? Yeah, just a little healer dealer. What would you do? What would everybody else have? Joe Fruit, we all have addicted to things and need to shift addiction to positive things. Yeah, 100%. It's all around, addiction serves a purpose. Like Joe Fruit is 100% on the money. So addiction is basically to do with dopamine. And what dopamine is it's a chemical. So it's like a neurotransmitter in our brains, which its purpose is to drive us towards things which are pleasurable and rewarding. And when our brains developed, pleasurable things were hard to get. So we needed to get like a little buzz every time we did it. So it would push us to pursue the things. So we get dopamine for mating, sex. That wasn't so easy to find when we're living in tribes and men are off hunting and all this stuff. Fruit gives us energy. That's why we've got huge addictions to sugar, and that's why the market and industry taps into that. We're just anything comfortable in life. And now we're seeing that, and status is really important, especially for men. So everything that we used to need was hard to get. The problem with the 21st century is everything's at our fingertips. Sex is at our fingertips. We've got porn. We've got Tinder even. Like, you can go get real sex if you want, if you can. You've got gambling. Why is that light going so crazy? There we go. We've got gambling, which is status, especially for men, really important. We've got flashy lights who come and get us, like little moths to the flames. And then we've got things that heal pain. So we've got drugs and alcohol when we're struggling with trauma or we're not happy with our lives. We've got these magic things in a bottle or in a pill, which makes us feel happy. So everybody does have addiction because we all are driving towards things that are pleasurable. It's just the things that are pleasurable that we're getting aren't helpful. So it's 100% what Joe Fruit said. We just need to be intentional, pick our poison, be intentional about the things that we're consuming. Right, I'm just going to scroll around at random and hopefully give people a fair chance. It places the lotion in the basket. I don't know what you're talking about. Right, I'll go for another person. Sky Flyers in. If an evil witch shrunk me down to 3 inches tall and teleported me into your stomach, how hard do you think it would be for me to survive? Well, it'd be full of acid, like stomach acid. I haven't ate in a while. I think you'd have a pretty tough job. Right. UJ, ma'am, can I ask you a question? Absolutely, please do. Anything about addiction or mental health? Or anything at this point. I don't, I'm just talking utter garbage this life. I'm having fun. Demented monkeyfish. I have medical cannabis in the UK. It's amazing. Yeah, do you know what it is? For some people, it really does work. And that's the thing. I know some people which weed has absolutely destroyed their lives. Like, absolutely destroyed their lives. And then I know some people that it's saved their lives and the mental health. And I think it just, everybody's experience is different. Like, there's a reason why we have DFC, like drug of choice. I think everybody, yeah. So it's great if that's working for you. Right, Adrian says, you still have a life ahead of you. Just keep going and stay positive. Yep. I saw something today and it said, enjoy the highs because nothing is certain and endure the lows because nothing's certain. Absolutely. Let's say, Clorox. Oh, God. Clorox, man. Javier, spread some joy. And I could not be arsed to give BJ's for a £5 outside behind Asda. Get real. Right. Like a bump on the lip. Yeah, this is a cold sore. This is another one. I've been so well, guys. But this is off getting nutted from my 4-year-old. Burst me lip the other day. Good. Lovely little nuisance that he is. Right. Peanut butter. What was your poison? Ketamine. And honestly, if I've nearly 4 years sober and I would still say it was me poison now. Like, let's be real. And I know somebody, like a really close friend, whose poison was heroin, and she said, like, it's really, the thought of it is disgusting. And for me, the thought, I would never go back to being an addict, but I think it'd still be me poison. But me poison now is just me life at the moment. I love my life so much. And on the surface, it wouldn't look that good for somebody else looking in, but I've got a lush group of friends. I've got a 4-year-old son who is hard work, but I love him to bits. Do love it when he goes to his dad's at a weekend as well, though, as much as I love him being here, not gonna lie, because I'm human. And I love doing this with you guys, so yeah. Ketamine was my choice of poison, still would be, but my life is my choice of poison now, guys. When people are off drugs, they're always in recovery for the rest of their lives. Yeah, I think you're always susceptible. I'd agree with that to a certain extent. And then to a certain extent, I would say, for me, I feel like I've recovered. However, if you were to strip us of all them things I said, like my friends, my son, doing things I loved, my dogs, I absolutely would go straight back into addiction. I know I would, because realistically, I think one of the best things you can do in recovery when you've got an addiction is start building a life which is more precious to you than the drug that you're taking, or the alcohol that you're doing, or the gambling you're doing. Build a life that's so precious that you wouldn't gamble it for the addiction. Because, yeah. So I think for me, I feel recovered, but if you remove everything I've got and I'm just sat with myself and I've got nothing to do and no loved ones and whatever, then absolutely would be a cat head again. Right. Green Aline, hello, nice to see you again. I was not an addict, but I was watching porn and God made me give it up, and I love myself more now. We need to give up sins, addiction or not. Yeah, so I say this all the time, but Matthew McConaughey did a really, really good Diary of a CEO, and he was talking about sinning, and he said it's an archery term and it means to miss the mark. So if we look at the Latin version of it, I absolutely do agree that we all sin, we all miss the mark. And actually porn can, anything in moderation isn't going to kill you, let's be real. But it can be detrimental to people. And the problem with porn is it's just hijacking that reward pathway to the max. It's so accessible. We don't have to work for it. The other thing is as well, the industry itself, I think I wouldn't want to be subsidising. But yeah, each to their own. I'm not here to shame people for using porn. Right. Cold sore or herpes. Isn't it the same thing, Mike? Isn't cold sore a type of herpes? I'm pretty sure it is. I think it lives behind the ear. Does anyone know though? Because I always wonder, some people get them and some people don't. Is it, I know you're on ChatGPT, but maybe somebody knows this. Is it a case of if you don't get them, you can never get them? Or have you just been lucky and just like managed to weave and dive away from them? Because I just know people just don't seem to ever have them. And then I've got friends who all I have to do is look at my friends and I've caught a cold sore. Clorox, for God's sake. I used to be a cat head, I'll give you that. Right, I'm going to scroll through and pick things at random. Great, you sobered up. Junk out the trunk said, you're fine as hell, thank you. That is 2 compliments. Peanut butter, I'm an alcoholic, 4 years sober now or so. That is unreal. I'm nearly 4 years. What would you say is the biggest thing, peanut butter, that's helped you, that would help anybody who's watching, who's going through active addiction? Because I love it when the recovery veterans come on. And I feel like you've got a lot of wisdom to share. Adrian, stay positive. Yeah, absolutely. Or give yourself permission stay positive when you're negative, in the sense of give yourself permission to have negative feelings. That's one thing I've been learning recently is when I started on my healing journey, I just felt like I had to be loving light all the time. And what I realised was I was punishing myself for having emotions, human emotions like anger, jealousy, greed, all these different things that we have, and frustration, just all these different things. Like, look, and I started being kind to myself about that. Eternally secure rocker. Ashley, I have training and expertise in addiction and various counselling. If you need me, I can help moderate from time to time. I would love that. I've got one moderator already. I've just asked psychedelic. I don't know if you've replied psychedelic or not. But yeah, I would absolutely love that. That would be so helpful. The only thing I say is, like, you know, we've got, like, what's his name? He was writing, I can't remember his name. God, he's been spamming me thing and I'm looking for his name now and I can't see him. The person who's been writing Junkie and I suck people off behind Asda. I just leave them on because they drive my algorithm up. So leave trolls. If they're griefing me, I don't care. If they're being horrible to somebody else, though, moderate them. But yeah, if you could just answer other people. Do you know what my dream would be? To grow this channel, and because I get a lot of people who are in recovery, and then I got a lot of people who are struggling with addiction, I would love it if the people in recovery could help the people who are in active addiction. So if you see someone commenting, just to reply. And I've started to notice that's already happening. But yeah, I would love you to be moderator. I'm going to put you as that now. Sorry, guys, if you just bear with us, but... right, add as moderator. There you go, manager and moderator. There you go. I'll put you on. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So yeah, just because I don't get to answer all the comments and I'm super mindful about that. Yeah, Adrian, block the negatives and focus on the positives. Only don't listen to criticism and judgmental people worse for going through the situation who really needs motivation and help. Just keep going. Yeah, do you know what it is? So I'm the first to hold my hand up and say I used to be really judgmental of other people. And what I started to realise when I was going on my healing journey, which, by the way, if anyone's on the healing journey, not for the faint-hearted, is it? You start off all love and light and then you realise, oh shit, now I'm going to look at my own toxic traits. Great, that's not fun. But I started realising that I was really judgmental, and what I came to realise is the things I was judging other people for was the exact same things I was judging myself for. So I used to walk around and fat shame people in my head. I used to think, God, I can't believe they're wearing that. I can't believe they've got the belly out. And what I realised was it was actually because I was fat shaming myself. I had such a horrible relationship with the way I viewed myself aesthetically. And as soon as I started working on myself and my body confidence, I started totally changing the way I look at people. And I started thinking, like, good on you. And, you know, like, great for you. And then just not even thinking about weight. So, or sometimes I get the odd thought of, do you remember when you used to fat shame people? So the reason why I say that is if someone's judging you, they're not judging you. What they're judging is something they don't like about themselves and they are projecting it onto you, because I was doing exactly the same thing myself. And not just with fat shaming. I used to judge so many different people for so many different things. And that's just one that came to mind. And I think we all do it. But yeah. So if you're judging someone, use it as an opportunity to think, why am I judging that person? Why is it that I don't like this particular aspect about them? Maybe I'm judging someone for putting themselves out there and doing something they love, and that's shining a light on the fact that I don't have the confidence to go and do something I love. And if you're being judged by something, just say, well, that's a lot more about them than it is about me. Mind over matter. I hate myself. I'm so sorry to hear that. I do offer free one-to-ones. Mind over matter. If you want to book a one-to-one session, I don't charge. It's a one-off, but I'm happy to just sit there and hash it out with you for an hour. If that's what you want, just comment on any of my content, lives or shorts, and I'll arrange a Zoom or a telephone call, whatever's better for you. But yeah, I definitely have been where you've been and hated myself, and it's not a nice thing to do, but we absolutely can learn to love ourselves. And it's just about, one, I can go through some specific things for you, we can work it out. But one of the best things I've done to love myself is start getting curious about the thoughts in my head. So start getting observant. So catch yourself. If you say things like, oh God, you're so lazy, or why are you wearing that, or why did you just say that? That's the language of someone who hates themselves. So instead, try and think about, if that was a loved one, aka a kid or my best friend or my mum or whatever, somebody you love, if I was to say that to them, would I stand for it? And if you wouldn't, change the language. Say something that you would say to that person that you loved. So, for instance, I'm trying to think of something that I used to say. So, like, we'll go back to the fat shaming myself. So if I was going to turn around and like say to myself, like, don't wear that, you look horrible, I would notice the thought. And then I'd think about, if that was my best friend, would I dare say, don't wear that, you look horrible? If the answer's no, we're scrapping it. We're not allowed to say that. Not in my vocabulary. And then after that, say, right, what would I say if that was my best friend instead? And that might be, you look beautiful because you're beautiful inside and out. And then say that to yourself. And I know it feels so uncomfortable, but that's because you've spent however long hating yourself. So it's going to feel uncomfortable. But just keep practicing it, and eventually your brain will start to rewire itself to think positive thoughts about yourself, loving thoughts towards yourself. So that's definitely where I'd start, guys. Peace and joy. And when you're focusing on yourself and in a good mental health space all the time, you judge much, much less, if at all. Yeah, 100%. 100% agree with that. And it's about also, key point, don't judge yourself for judging others. Don't judge yourself for judging others, because that's what I started doing. I started going, oh my God, you are a horrible human being, you're judging people. And it's like, no. If you're judging other people, use it as simply data that there is something going on inside, and use it as an opportunity to uncover an unhelpful thought pattern that we have, an unhelpful belief. So it's not about like shaming myself for fat shaming other people. It's about saying, why am I fat shaming other people? Or actually, how do I feel about my weight? Actually, I fat shame myself. So instead of shaming myself for shaming other people, instead, let's just work on the body image. Thanks, Attorney Secure Rocker. Yeah, that is such a good point. Peace and joy. What helped you the most with codependency? I had bad codependency issues for about 20 years. 20 years ago, I used to have really bad codependency issues as well. Are there any people pleasers in the group, or people pleasers in recovery, as I like to think of myself? I saw something the other day. So talking about codependency and people pleasing. I've just lied again. It wasn't the other day I saw this. It was quite a while ago I saw it. But I saw something a while ago that said people who have poor boundaries with themselves likely have poor boundaries with other people. So when I read that, I was like, oh my God, that is so true. Struggled with addiction, struggled with boundaries with other people. I was codependent. The more I started to love myself, the more easier it was to have boundaries with myself, and the easier it was to have boundaries with other people. So I think that's what helped me. Hi, Clorox, you're back again. Oh, God. How do you deal with people close to you that are not happy or willing to help you, although they say they are? Right, so how do you deal with people who are close to you who are not happy or willing to help you? Are you talking about people who are negative vibration type thing. Not in like a hippy dippy way, but I mean, like, you know, somebody who's like really negative, and they're negative about themselves and negative towards you, and it just saps the energy out of your life. If that's what you mean, I'll answer that. If it's not, tell us what it is that you mean, but I'll answer this in the meantime, because I think that's a good question anyways. Is one of the hard things I've had to learn is, if somebody's really negative, like, energy's infectious. So if I've been around negative people, I've felt negative. And it's not my friend Rachie Tatey, who's been on this live, I don't know if you're still here, she used to phone us up and say, sorry for trauma dumping, but this has happened. And I was like, whoa, you're not trauma dumping, you're allowed to vent. But every time Rachel would talk about an issue, she'd have the intention to resolve it. Like, okay, I've got this issue, I'm feeling upset, I need to like either process it with you, or I want to come up with a solution. And it was like positive. So she was being human but positive. But then I have had people around us where it's just constant negativity. And I've been that person as well. I've been that negative person, definitely in points of my life, where you just spurting negativity off, and it's just really hard because it drags you down. And one thing I learned was that I was doing it, I was like, I need to stop doing that, because I'm probably dragging people down. I'm just enjoying passing my negativity on to other people. So honestly, I think the best thing you can do is put in boundaries. Yeah. And boundaries is whatever that looks like for you. But remember, a boundary, guys, is not words, it's an action. And we might give words to say, this is what I'm going to do if things don't change, but it's an action. So think about what your action might be. So that might be distancing it yourself. It might be removing that person. It might be, I'm going to have a conversation and say that this needs to change. Or if not, I'm going to distance myself or remove myself. There's loads of different ways, but yeah. It's a question of, are you going to put yourself first, or are you going to put the other person first? And that's a question of getting the balance between, it's not always about me, but equally it's not never about me. Sorry, that was so long-winded, but I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down with that. How do you deal with people? Oh, I've just read the same thing. For God's sake. For God's sake. Peace and joy. Paying attention to red flags always in others, but remembering that we can put out red flags also. We always talk about other toxic people. Our accountability is where toxic things we do. Yeah. Oh my God. When I started my healing journey, it was like putting myself under a microscope and really not liking what I see. There's so many toxic traits that I have. And that's another thing. Like, if somebody's really negative, we need to remember that we attract what we are. So what I sharp realised was, all the toxic people in my life was because I was being toxic, because I wasn't being open and honest about my boundaries. Therefore, I saw this thing which talked about people pleasing, and it was saying people pleasing is like lying, because you're putting on a facade, you're pretending that you're happy with somebody, you're pretending that everything's a-okay, and you're just letting resentment bubble under the surface. And that often comes out as passive aggression, maybe venting about the person, gossiping about the person, bitching about the person. And I was that person. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my God, I'm actually just as toxic as the toxic person. But at least they're being upfront about their toxic behaviours. I'm being slyly toxic because I'm slagging them off. And I'm doing all this stuff behind the back, instead of just saying, actually, I'm really struggling with your behaviours. So then when I started to heal myself and realise this, I thought, I'm going to have to put boundaries in. The problem is, the people that I was trying to put boundaries in didn't want to receive the boundaries, because I'd started healing and realising my toxic traits, and they weren't on that journey. And we need to remember, we've all got toxic traits. I don't know anyone who's not even just a little bit toxic. I know I've still got toxic traits now. I'm just waiting to find them out and then deal with the shame and try and change it. I'm currently dealing with toxic traits that I've got. So yeah. Someone's just said they'll have to ask me dad to my father to take me hand. Oh, what was it you just said? Don't look at us like that. I'm going to have to ask your father for your hand. My dad has openly said to us that he wouldn't even want to go to a wedding, me wedding. He says, I don't like weddings. I don't really wouldn't even want to go. I think my dad would be mortified. He'd just think, for God's sake, can't be arsed. He didn't even go to me. Sorry, I'm just laughing. I love my dad. He's amazing. He didn't go to me 30th birthday because he couldn't be bothered with. He didn't like the restaurant. So you can ask him, but he'd probably tell you to get stuffed. Right. Oh, right. Let's see what people are saying. He would like me. I get along with old folk. I don't know. My dad's one of them people who he just... my dad can get on with anyone, but he's got a low tolerance for people. He's a bit like me. I can talk to anyone, but realistically, I've only got the tolerance for such a small amount of people in my inner world. Right, mind over matter. Thoughts on... Yeah, realistic question. Let's bring us back into the room. Oh, I haven't said if anyone hasn't subscribed. Could you please subscribe? That's so helpful. Right, mind over matter. Thoughts on ketamine for therapeutic reasons. Yeah, ketamine-assisted therapy. I was talking to my moderator, Roxy, about this today. Not today, this week. I don't know. I don't know because I haven't done it. I haven't seen it. I know that there's a lot of emerging evidence around psilocybin, ketamine, MDMA and acid is in a therapeutic setting. I think that is... I think as long as we're doing something with a therapist, like, try anything, guys. Like, do you know what I mean? If that's an option and it's something that you think that's going to work for you, try it. What I don't want to do is comment on it when I don't actually know. But there is an emergence of research which is supporting these and an educated guess on it. So the reason why I ended up getting addicted to ketamine was because... And I'd always had a ropey relationship with it, so I'm not going to blame it fully on this. But when I started really getting addicted to ketamine was when I started doing my counselling training, because I was getting forced to start looking at taking hard, long looks at myself and learning about trauma. And I started having aha moments like, oh my God, I think that's me. I was learning about PTSD. I started then having flashbacks from reliving my trauma. And I started taking ketamine. And for the first time, I felt like I could talk about my trauma, and it was with my friends when I was wrecked, and it almost felt like a safe space. I didn't get any emotion. It was almost like there was like a security blanket around us while I was talking about my trauma. So because of that, I can understand why it might be effective. Yeah. But I can't fully comment on it. That's just my opinion, and that is not a professional opinion. Right, Duncan, I came up with the 99 versus 1% rule. Ooh, I love good rule. Let's read this. It doesn't matter whether you are 1% guilty or 99%. You have still made a mistake somewhere along the line. Accept what mistakes you've made and apologise. Yeah, I got guilt reading that. I felt guilt. I thought, oh, them times that I've just like shoved it down. So I saw something somewhere that said, if you feel guilt and shame, it is a sign that you're a good person. Now, I don't really like the idea of good and bad person, but what I would reframe that comment to mean is it shows that you've got a moral compass. So if you look at what Duncan said, if you're feeling guilt, there's something has been out of line. Now, it might just be that you're socially out of line, because I would argue that some people would feel guilty about having an addiction and they haven't done anything wrong. They're just doing the best. So, but it's something that's out of alignment. So if we're feeling guilt, whether it's 1% or 99%, love that rule, then we've made a mistake. It's something to change. But if we're looking at it through the lens of the fact that I'm acknowledging that I've made a mistake, shows that I'm inherently a lush person. I've just made a mistake. We're all human. That's fine. But let's just not make that mistake again. And do you know what it is? I said this to one of my abusers, actually. I said, when they started talking about the abuse that they'd given us, I said to them, it doesn't matter what you've done to us. I'll forgive it. You need to forgive yourself. What does matter is if you realise you're doing something that isn't cool and then you continue to do that thing. Because if you realise you're doing something wrong and you continue to do it, it's not okay. Let's be real. Especially when somebody else is at the other side of that. Now, if you realise you've done something wrong and you have the intention of doing differently and you're actively trying to do different, then that's okay. Because it takes a good few times before we can change your behaviour. So that's okay. But yeah, I love that rule. Just wanted to caveat it to basically say love yourself during the process, because it's quite painful to sit there and own up and say, I've done something wrong, I'm going to have to correct it, I'm going to have to apologise. And sometimes it's yourself that you've got to apologise to as well. Peanut butter. I love everyone. Everyone keep giving tips and tricks. I love it. The real solution means hard work with introspection, self-care and meditation. 100%. 100% peanut butter. I've got to say that is exactly what I would say the best route to not just healing addiction, but also any mental health is. And even taking that approach to my bipolar has helped me manage my bipolar without antipsychotics. Now, I'm not saying don't go medication, but I'm just saying peanut butter is hitting the nail on the head. Demented monkey, kettles can cause PTSD also, like any strong psychedelic. Yeah, 100%. That's the thing. This is why I think if anyone is going to do any drug-related trauma-assisted therapy, it needs to be with trauma therapists. Absolutely. And do you know what it's like? I'm trying to think if it... I think anything can cause PTSD. Anything, any drugs, it can... We just need to be careful. Like, when we're putting things like psychedelics in our brain, we are messing with our brain chemistry. We really are. So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend K-holes to anyone. I do back what you're saying there, 100%. But also, I wouldn't rule out KET-assisted therapy if that's something that you've been advised and feel like it's for you. I think the key thing here between what Demented Monkey is saying and what whoever asked us about the ketamine therapy is there's a professional involved. Right, Duncan, forget about the rest. If you get anything back, it's a bonus. Get anything back from what? Ooh, Wally, read the book Myth of Normal by Gabor Mate. Trauma is not what happens to you, but how you respond to it. 100%. Gabor Mate is amazing, by the way. If anyone doesn't know who he is, if you're struggling with addiction, definitely go check him out. He's amazing. I've followed him throughout my career. But it's 100%. And I saw this when I was working with veterans. There was a lot of veterans who experienced the same trauma, but some of them were able to manage it in a different way to others. And often what you'd find is the ones who were really struggling often had childhood trauma layered on top of that. And the reason why I think there was that correlation, now bearing in mind, I'm not talking about all veterans here, I'm just talking about the ones that I've worked with in my career. But Gabor Mate talks about this, and so does Peter Levine and Basil van der Kolk, who are all leaders in the trauma field. And what they say is during childhood, we build resilience. So you might have two people who deal with a traumatic incident, and if one is being brought up in a really immaculate childhood where they've built resilience through the relationships with their parents or caregivers, they are likely to be able to handle trauma better than somebody who has had a tough childhood or a chaotic childhood or an abusive childhood. So you might have two people in the face of trauma, and one of them will respond to it differently than the other based off that blueprint that they created when they were younger, which is what Wally Wally's talking about. Yeah, Wally Wally, only honourable men and women feel shame. Yeah, so if you are doing Duncan's rule, which I think is 100% true, because there is something really freeing in just apologising, and it can be to the person, or if you're not able to have that conversation, even just taking accountability, like saying, okay, in that situation wasn't great, I didn't deserve that, but equally, I'm going to own my own part in it. It's so freeing. And if you team that with what Wally Wally is saying, only honourable men and women feel shame, you can apologise to people, apologise to yourself, take accountability without shame, because you can just say, look, at least I'm honourable enough to hold my hands up and say I got it wrong. But it is hard. It's not nice going with your tail between your legs. Had to do it a few times myself. Nobody likes to do it. A heart that hurts is a heart that works. Yes, I love that. Yeah, I've learned to feel pain and get comfortable in it. And the more I get comfortable in pain and shame and jealousy and all those horrible emotions that we try to push down, the more space I've made for joy and happiness. Because I think if we close our hearts down, we don't get to feel any of the emotions. If we're going to numb ourselves from emotion, we're numbing ourselves from emotion. If we open ourselves up to emotion, we've got to open ourselves up to all emotion. Demented Monkey, you are saying about narcissistic/psychopathic people who don't feel guilty at all. Yeah, the tetric triad, where it's like you've got narcissistic, sociopathic, psychopathic, and what's the other one? Sadistic, is it? And there's one beginning with M. Basically a cluster of people. I think they might be called cluster A. Can't remember. But basically there's a cluster of people who struggle to access empathy. And yeah, I don't understand what it's like to be in the mind of any of those people. I wouldn't want to be in the mind of any of those people. But yeah, one of the traits which runs across them all is either an inability to access empathy or a disconnect from empathy. Right. Clockwork's still in the chat supporting. I know, I love it. God, Clockwork, so why don't you get involved? Tell us something nice about yourself. What have you done today? Other than spam me live. Look, if you're getting joy out of it, I'll spread the joy in whichever way you want. I'm happy to do so. Peanut butter, apology isn't enough, amends is better. Take responsibility without relying on whether others accept it or not. Yeah, this is so true. It's just about taking accountability, isn't it? And yeah, it's a tough one. It is a tough one. It's something that I used to really, really struggle with apologies. And it's something I'm learning. I'm still learning to do it. I still get such big spikes of anxiety. I've been seeing someone for 6 months now. And I've had to apologise to him a few times. And it's not a nice feeling. But it is just about apologising. You don't know if they're going to accept the apology, but you just need to do it. You just need to put your tail between your legs and just do it. And at least when you've owned it, like taking any accountability, in my experience, is liberating. And at least you can walk away and say, okay, I made a mistake, that's human. Got it wrong, that's okay. Wasn't great, but at least I tried my best to resolve it. And there's a book called The Book That You Wish Your Parents Had Read and Your Children Will Thank You for Reading. And there's a chapter in it which is called Rupture Repair. And it says you can't avoid making mistakes with your kids. Like, we are going to make mistakes with our kids. It's human. We're going to make mistakes with everyone. But what we can do is we can try and repair the rupture. And that's so true. We can't avoid making mistakes. There's no point in shaming ourselves. But we can try and rupture it. And actually, in that rupture, that's where growth is. We can either, whatever relationship it is, friendship or romantic, whatever, you've got an opportunity to repair it and come back stronger and learn something about yourself and the other. Or if you don't repair the relationship, you can avoid rupture in your next relationship. You can repair the relationship with yourself. So I fully agree. Anyways, guys, I am knackered. Thanks so much for everyone who showed up, but I'm going to do 3 more comments. Warrior, you went from looking a bit tired to being filled with energy. That's super awesome. Speaks volumes on how much I love doing this. Yeah, I do. I absolutely do love doing this. It's so much fun. It's really nice. Like, I love how many people, I love that people are coming back on. I love that people are answering questions for each other. I'm such a geek. It's so nice to channel all the things I spent years learning in other people. And it is like you say, there's no such thing as a selfless act. Like, I am buzzing off helping people. And it is really nice. And I do know that when I'm feeling like rubbish, if I just show up, I'm going to get a bit of energy. The problem is I get a boost of energy from you guys and then I just like flatline, and I'm starting to flatline. So, but yeah. And the more, you'll notice, the more tired I am, the more scatty I get, like, but it's all fun and games. I know, Chloe, can everyone say thank you to Chloe, because I'm my biggest fan. I'm my biggest hater. But yeah, thank you. I think he's enjoying it. I think he's in on the laughs. I think he is. I'd like to think he is, but either way, thank you. Right, with normal people, apologising should help. With some, they say it as if they've won and double down on their beliefs. Yeah, they do. I think that's what makes it scary when you apologise. I've got to say, so I've spoke about like the lad I'm saying, so I've said I've had to go with my tail between my legs and apologise a few times. And I've got to say, every time I've apologised or every time he's apologised, we've both apologised. And I think that's the best kind of apology. I think not necessarily saying this is what you need to do. You're not responsible for somebody else's reaction. But I always think if there's a situation, there's 2 people with accountability in that situation. And it might just be how you've reacted to whatever they've done. Maybe you could have reacted a little bit better. Maybe there's been a situation, like, I don't think anybody ever acts out of a vacuum. So we can always remember that is if somebody's getting triggered or they're being a bit of a dick, it's probably not happened out of a vacuum. Now, that's not to say that I'm responsible for triggering that person. However, you can still apologise for saying, look, I'm sorry that you felt that way. I'm sorry that you felt so triggered that you got that irate that you started doing that thing or whatever it is. So one thing that we've both done is when one person's apologised, the other person's took up accountability as well. So, yeah, you don't know how the other person's going to respond, but if somebody is coming to you apologising, it could be quite a nice little gesture to just look at where maybe you could have improved next time to make the relationship work. But yeah, if someone doesn't want to accept your apology, that's up to them. And there's certain people that I would accept their apology, but I wouldn't excuse their behaviour. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, as somebody who's experienced sexual abuse, I would accept an apology and accept, we're all human, we all make mistakes, but I wouldn't excuse the behaviour. So we also need to be prepared that sometimes people don't want to accept apologies, and that's okay. But taking accountability is a good first step. So yeah, fully agree. Right, I'm going to do 2 more comments. I'm just going to scroll around at random. I'm going to start with peace and joy. What I found is that triggers, when they happen to us and we react, that's things that have been unhealed in us. And if we want to take a look at, So going back to my own relationship, I'm not going to say anything about him, he's lush, but talking about myself, when I've thought that they've done something wrong, or when they've done something and I've had a reaction, it's also been an opportunity for me to think, why am I reacting that good? Reacting like that? Because when we react to a trigger, it's usually an unhealed wound. So if you think about it, like, we're all just walking, we're all walking around with these unhealed wounds, and we're all triggering each other's wounds. So if you think of it like, say you had say you fractured your foot, and you're just lying on the sofa, not moving your foot, it's fine. And then you've got a 4-year-old like I do, and they come over and they go like that on your foot, you're going to go, fuck off, you God. And then you're going to be like, oh my God, just called my son a C word, just swore. That is what an emotional wound is like. We've all got these emotional wounds, and everybody has them. And it's just waiting for the right person and the right situation to come and smack you on the foot. And maybe you do go, fuck off, you cunt. Or maybe you just go inward and you punish them with silence. Or maybe, I don't know, you react in this totally outlandish way. And if we recognise that that's because they've triggered my wound, then we can go and heal the wounds. So I'm a walking wound. But also by doing that and giving yourself grace, it's easier to say, okay, if I'm a walking wound that's getting triggered, they're a walking wound and they're probably getting triggered. And that's okay, because we've got 2 walking wounds here. So the best thing we can do is give them grace, give us grace, and put in boundaries. Right. Wally. Oh, I love a philosophical question. I'm going to try and be honest for this. Right, I'm going to ask it everybody else. So Wally has said, if you have to choose between being right and being kind, choose... Oh, I thought he was going to say, which would you choose? I was going to answer. Choosing kindness and you'll always be right. Well, I was going to say, sometimes there's a little Ashley that wants to go, I just want to be right. But there's a more grown-up version of myself which says, choose kindness. But sometimes, I will say, sometimes we have to choose to be kind to ourselves as well. We could always be kind to others, but I think sometimes we struggle to be kind to ourselves. But yeah, there's a little part of us which wants to be right. Oh, God. External secure rocker. Ashley, you're doing good. Be extra good to yourself this evening. Thank you. I've really enjoyed tonight, actually, guys. Which would I choose? It depends. Honestly, I would choose kindness. I always choose kindness in the end. But I'm going to sit here and tell you, there is so many times and I'm like, I would love to go and punch that person in the face. And then I'm like, we're not going to. Or, do you ever get this thing where, this is maybe revealing, but I like to be honest. Do you ever get this thing where somebody hurts you and you're like, I'd love to do that to them so they know how that feels? And you really want to do it, and then you're like, oh, I'm too consciously fucking aware to do that, so I'm not going to. But I would really love to do it. So what would I choose? Straight away, I would do the spiteful, mean thing to get them back. A second later, I would rein it in and go, you're better than that, don't. Yeah, your kindness washes over your heart before passing through deeds. I think this is the thing. The reason why I'm talking about the fact that there's a little part of us, it's a little bit sadistic at times, is we're all human. Right? We are literally all human, and we all have these thoughts where these shadow aspects of ourselves, and like Wally said, we do get the opportunity to choose. And I think the more you get conscious with your thoughts, the easier it is to make a conscious choice. Psychedelic, I'm back. Are the trolls here? I don't know if they're here or not. How are you doing, Psychedelic? Oh, Jason, man. Right, Jason, can you just keep it kosher, please? Please. Right. My Hydra head, good timing on this vid. Why is it good timing? I'm getting a third wave. This is what happens. I keep saying I'm going to leave and then I get another wind. It's Friday night. I don't just be crazy and stay up another 10 minutes. Right. I'm going to scroll to the middle and read a comment from the middle because I feel like I want to give people a fair chance. Okay. There's a lot of weirdness in the middle. Right, I'm going back to the bottom, guys. Just right again. We've got weirdness in the middle that just needs to stay in the middle. Mr. Hydra Head, in my limited understanding, I think all have inherent addictions. The real mystery is the commodity we like. 100%. I would say that is not a limited understanding. I would say that is an understanding that took me years of studying to get to. 100% true. And it's about using the commodity that we like to work out what it's soothing. So I say this all the time, addiction's the solution, not the problem. But if you see it as a solution, you can use it to work out what is the problem. Or you can think about what is the problem and get a better solution. So if you don't know what the problem is, use the solution as a way to find out what the problem is. So for me, let's look at things, some of my addictions. So, okay, so vaping. I still vape, about to quit with my addiction group, which is starting soon. And the reason why I vape is because it regulates my nervous system. I know that when I'm stressed, if I have a vape, it's going to chill us out. For the last, I would say, at least about a year, I've been working on regulating my nervous system. And it's not been easy. I've got ADHD, which means my brain was wired up, so developed in a state of fight or flight. So it's been a hard job, but I'm definitely making strides, and I'm starting to get to the point where I think, right, I can get rid of the vape. I can regulate my nervous system. So looking at what purpose does the commodity or the addiction serve, you can start to see the problem and find out a better solution. And the great thing is you don't even need to necessarily commit to stopping the thing straight away. So if you're somebody who's in active addiction and you're thinking, I'm on the fence, I want to stop, but I kind of don't want to, you can say, okay, I've got the intention to stop, but first I'm going to scaffold whatever the problem is with a better solution. And you can proactively move yourself towards addiction recovery. Yeah, eternally secure rocker, good about the addiction being the solution, pointing to the problem. 100%. You find a lot of people might struggle with alcoholism because it gives you confidence. Cocaine's the same. It might be that you do something because it gives you energy. It might be that you go on porn a lot because you don't have connection. So then we can work on relationship skills. We can work on attachment styles. We can work on loving ourselves, We can look at why do I do this? Why do I have this addiction? What purpose is it serving? A lot of opiates, the pain relief. And these are more broad things. So you can look into literally ask AI if you want. Get AI to help you. You can look in the articles, you can look online, but also work out what specifically does it do for you. A demented monkey smoking is part of my soul at this point. I made the deal with myself when I was 36 that I'm going to start boxing, which I've actually switched to jiu-jitsu. I think that's fair. That's a fair switch. And I'm going to quit vaping. And so I turn 37 in March. This is how much my addicted brain is trying to procrastinate and cling on to vaping. I was like, I'm going to start in February. I'm going to quit vaping on February the 3rd, because that's the same stop date. That's quick ket. And wouldn't it be also lovely to have the same stop date? Utter garbage. I just want to put off quitting vaping for as long as possible. And February is the month before I turn 37. But I am hyper aware that the reason why I'm vaping is because of my nervous system. Because I like it. Let's be real, guys. If we've got an addiction, we probably like it. Like, let's be real. And I'm doing an addiction group with everyone. I've decided to put my money where my mouth is. That's only because I don't think it's fair to sit here talking about addiction recovery and not doing it myself. But yeah, smoking literally related to that is pretty much part of my soul. I smoked since I was like 12, 13. Managed to quit smoking tabs, switched up for vaping, and now I'm flooding my nervous system with more dopamine than it's ever had in its entire life. It was not a good switch. So yeah. You're far too old for school. Looks like you're pushing 40. I am. I'm nearly 37, guys. I love my Amber Leaf. Oh my God, that was my baggie of choice. Not promoting here, guys, just being real. Yeah, I still love Amber Leaf. What a thing to be talking about and saying you love. Why don't we love ourselves? Why don't we love ourselves, demented monkey? Oh God. Do you believe that there's such a thing as vice-free life? What does that look like? I think probably being dead, guys. Being a poltergeist. We all have vices. If things were real, honest, authentic, maybe wouldn't have to know ourselves. Yeah, I think we can have healthy vices. We can have like sport, connection. There's a really good TED Talks by Johann Hari called Everything We Know About Addiction is Wrong. And it says the antidote to addiction is connection. And he talks about this specific study around rats. So what they did is when they first were learning about addiction, they would put a rat in a cage and they would have 2 water bottles. One would be laced with heroin, one would be just regular water. And a lot of the time, the rats went and drank the heroin and overdosed. And that was the understanding of addiction, that we're just always going to have heroin. And what happened was later on, somebody came along and they were like, well, hang on a minute, we've got a rat that's a social creature like humans, and we're putting them in a little tiny cage with nothing to do other than drink water or heroin. So obviously they're going to go for the heroin. So what he did is he developed this study called Rat Park, and he got this huge rat cage with lots of rats and loads of fun things to do and lots of little activities. So there was connection, there was, rats love sex, we love sex. I don't know if rats have relationships. I don't understand how that works in rats. I do know about prairie voles, not about rats. So they were having sex, potentially loved up relationships, who knows, potentially polyamorous, potentially LGBTQ+. But they were having fun. And they had the same 2 bottles, one with heroin and one with water. And what they found is the rats rarely touched the heroin. So we all have vices, but is that connection? Is that having fun activities to do, problems to solve? I don't know, but throw a bit of all them vices in your life and you'll probably find that you don't need the addiction as much. And actually, what you'll find is when you start getting things you love, aka solid groups of friends, sport or hobbies or whatever it is for you, you'll find that the addiction interferes with them. So then you end up getting a choice of, am I going to do this thing that's healthy that I love, or am I going to keep sabotaging my potential in these relationships and these things with the addiction? Anyways, I've hit another wave of tired, so psychedelic. I'm going to end it on psychedelic's comment. I started with vaping to quit nicotine, and after a few days I switched to vapes without nicotine, but the sweet taste makes it hard to quit vaping. After 8 weeks I started smoking again because of the stress. Yeah, I went through a stage of no nicotine vaping. It's a really hard one to stop smoking. It is. I've tried a few times. I'm going to do it because I've said it now, so you can all hold us accountable. And I do think accountability is helpful in addiction recovery. And I do think I'm ready to stop vaping. I just don't want to, guys. I really don't want to. I love it. It's the first thing I do when I get off this live. But it's really hard because vaping or smoking is chemically addictive as well as psychologically addictive. And I would say it's as difficult as quitting ketamine was, to be honest with you. It was. And I've failed as many times as I failed quitting ketamine. I think the only difference is, because at least with ketamine, it was psychologically addictive, whereas vaping in nicotine is physically addictive and psychologically addictive. And I've done it since I was like 12 or 13. I don't remember the exact age. Very young. So it is really difficult. I think the only difference is I've got a lot more things that I enjoy leaning, and I've got a much better support network. But yeah, it's really tough. So I'm not surprised. Psychedelic. Yeah, demented monkeys. Nicotine is probably the most addictive thing. Yeah, I think, do you know what it is? I think all addictions have got something brutal about them. Like weed, everyone smokes weed. I cannot walk around my area without smelling weed. Nicotine is ridiculously available and ridiculously addictive. Alcohol, I mean, it's just embedded in with social situations. Then you've got heroin, which isn't embedded in the social situations, but it's physically addictive. Gambling is everywhere. Gambling is advertised everywhere. It pisses me off. It's awful. Yeah, you could just go on and on and on. I think all addictions have something brutal about it. So yeah. Oh, I said I'm gonna go, but Daniel Gannon, I noticed you're back. Glad you're stronger than you give yourself credit. Huge step communicating. Keep going. I'm gonna go back up and see what Daniel said. Right, Daniel. So, sorry, I do have support, but I struggle with social anxiety, depression, ADHD, and OCD. So, I struggle to retain extremely valuable information like this woman provides. I 100% get what you're saying. I struggle. That's probably why I give quite a lot of information very fast, because I've also got ADHD. And I also struggle to retain information. Let's see what else. So, because I seen you continued that by saying, bear with, guys. And my memory is very hazy over benzos and weed, so it's hard to memorize important lessons. Do you know what it is? I'd say the only lesson, Gannon, that I would say would be helpful is just love yourself. Like, double down, triple down on love yourself. Like, the fact that you're showing up to lives about addiction shows that you're loving yourself enough to to try and learn, even if it is a struggle. Just love yourself, honestly. And, you know, it is like mass respect for you turning up, even though you're struggling on benzos and weed. God, I can't even function on weed, no benzos, let alone together. So I'm not blaming you for not being able to. Wally Wally, the opposite to addiction is not sobriety, is human connection. Yeah, did you see that on, have you seen the Johan Hari TED Talks? I actually interviewed him for my dissertation. He's so lovely. But he did this amazing TED Talks, and he let us interview him about the TED Talks for my dissertation, which is called Everything We Know About Addiction is Wrong, which I just spoke about. And the reason why I did my dissertation on it is because it absolutely blew my mind and changed how I viewed addiction. And yeah, his mantra is that exactly what Wally Wally said, the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's human connection. Fully agree. Right, I'm gonna have to go. I am so tired. I just want to say thanks so much, Eternally Secure Rocker, for moderating. You've done amazing. It is really hard for us to answer everyone's comments, so I really do appreciate that. And yeah, just thanks everyone for showing up. And if everyone could give us a subscribe, that would be helpful. You don't have to. Thanks for the likes. I can see little hearts coming up. I've seen a few party hearts. Yeah, and just thanks for everyone being so lush. I love doing these lives. It's really nice. It's very fulfilling, guys. But I'm very tired. Oh, right, I'm not going. I've just seen that. I am going to go after this, but I've just seen Daniel Gannon said, thanks very much, everybody. Having a rough day. So feedback is appreciated, honestly. Daniel, if you're needing some one-to-one support, I'm offering everyone a free, not everyone, people in dire straits, I'm offering them a free one-to-one and an opportunity to be in a free recovery group, which you're absolutely more than welcome to have. Yeah, and just give yourself thanks for showing up. And yeah, and thanks everyone who's been manning the fort and supporting each other. Like, that is the dream of this, because I can only answer so many questions, and I love that people are taking initiative. I know I don't need to thank you like children, but I am really grateful that everyone's doing that, because clearly it's been helpful to Daniel Gannon. So I also want to say thanks for everyone. Anyways, guys. Daniel, please do. Yeah, Daniel's an absolute warrior. You're showing up even though, like, if you can do something even though, you deserve mass respect. Everybody deserves mass respect. And yeah, do comment on any of my content, any of my lives or shorts. But I've actually got bloodshot eyes now. This is how tired I am, guys. So peace and love, and I'll see you soon. Bye.